and welcome to VistaTalks, interesting discussions with interesting people from all around the world. I'm your host for today, María, and we have a very special VistaTalks show. I am delighted to be joined by the other VistaTalk host, Simon Hodgkins. Welcome, Simon.
Maria, it's great to be back with you on a special episode.
It is, and we wanted to get together because we want to talk about Think Global Awards. Whether you don't know what the awards are about, or you might have heard about it but have not entered, or even if you did enter in the past but you don't know that year 6 of the awards is already happening, Simon and I are going to give you all the information you need. So Simon, would you like to start? Can you tell our audience what the Think Global Awards are, or how did they started?
Well, I can tell you a little bit because, as you know, Maria, it's one of my favorite subjects.
It is.
I'm always amazed at the fact that we're actually another year on with the awards program. And it is incredible to me. And I know I say this every year, but it's incredible for me to realize that the awards are now in their 6th year. It has been incredible. Honestly, when we started these awards 6 years ago, we weren't really sure whether they would even catch on, whether people would be interested in them. And, you know, it has been an absolute roller coaster of a ride. It's been fun all the way for me, and I know for many others who've been involved in the awards over the years. And I'm always blown away by the sheer volume of entries that we receive and the fact that they come from all over the world, Maria. So for me, it's a really exciting year to be in year 6.
Yeah, actually, that's amazing that you're pointing out that, because when I first entered Think Global Awards to work with Think Global Awards, I was amazed by how many people from different parts of the world, and not only individuals, but also companies were entering. I mean, like, it was amazing. It's actually, yeah, it is. I am part of the project now and I am completely hooked. So actually, let's remind people that entries were open on September, but they are still open until January 31st, 2023. And this year's theme is making a difference in a globally connected world, right, Simon?
Yeah, each year we've tried to have a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, obviously, everybody's living in this hyper-connected world that we're in. A lot of people are online around the world. And we thought that making a difference in this globally connected world was a great theme to have, because the people that enter the Think Global Awards are really making a difference, whether it's in their small business, whether it's in their large global business, whether they're a non-profit or a community or an association, or whether they're just an individual. So we wanted to recognize people, I suppose, Maria, as you say, that are really making a difference in this globally connected world that we find ourselves living in today. So that's what the theme is for year 6, for sure.
Exactly. And I think we should also let people know that they can enter the awards for free, which is also really important. And they can nominate other people or companies. They don't need to only nominate themselves. They can also nominate others, which I think it's really interesting. And maybe also we could let them know the categories, which this year we have 10 categories: community nonprofit, education and e-learning, language industry person of the year, life science. Can you let us know a little bit more about those categories, for example, Simon?
Yeah, I can, Maria. Can I just go back to something that you said? Because I thought it was a really important point. And the reason why I know it's an important point is because I still get asked this question a lot 6 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
With awards programs, typically, some of the larger awards programs, they cost money to enter.
They do
And
all
people are
of them.
very familiar in business and in organizations with paying to submit an entry to a global awards program. We're very proud that for 6 years now, we've been fortunate enough to be in a position where we haven't charged any fee for people to enter the awards. And that's something that we hopefully will be able to continue to do. with the help of everybody who supports the awards program behind the scenes. When it comes to the categories change a little bit. There are some categories that remain the same every year, Maria. But
Mhm.
as you know, this year we have 10 categories. And you've mentioned a few of them there. And maybe I could start with the one that I think you mentioned first. I might be wrong, but the Community and Non-Profit Award.
It is, yeah.
Um, every year we get a lot of charities, a lot of non-profits, a lot of associations and communities of all different shapes and sizes. Some are small and local to a particular country or area or town or village. And some may be the very largest non-profits that a lot of people would know and maybe support themselves, or at least see a lot of their media about. And I think it's important, particularly with the theme that we've mentioned for this year, that how we are all globally connected, that a lot of these non-profits and communities really do appreciate being able to enter an awards program to shine some light on the great work that they are doing. And it's always the non-profit and community and charity award. It's always a busy category. We always get
Mhm.
a lot of entries for it. But I would encourage people, whether they're a community or an association, or whether they are a large-scale NGO, or whether they're just a small not-for-profit charity that's been set up to look after a particular cause or community. We welcome all shapes and sizes, and that's a particularly good category. I'm always interested to see the applicants that come in for that one. And you mentioned some other categories, Maria, because
Education and e-learning was the second one, yeah.
yeah, well, on education and e-learning, I suppose we've been through a few years, haven't we, as a human race, where we've all had to go online a lot more than maybe some of us wanted to.
Mhm.
We were kind of forced online, and various lockdowns, etc. But the great thing, I suppose, that the internet has allowed us all to do is to connect with education and e-learning. And I know a lot of people learn, whether it's watching a YouTube video and picking up something new or figuring something out, or whether it's taking part in sort of there are lots of companies nowadays that have online learning and educational programs. Some are certified, some count towards college places and points, and depending on the country that's in it. And also online learning is impacting some of the developing countries, and maybe some of the countries where funding in education, particularly around children, haven't maybe been as well funded as maybe some of the more developed
Mhm.
countries. So I think the education and e-learning one is an interesting one. I know over the years, one that springs to mind was an online educational piece, which worked very much with an older demographic of people. That was a couple of years ago now, and that one I remember quite well because it was quite a unique entry that came in for that. But we've also had quite large organizations take part too. And of course, each entry for the education e-learning, it's judged on its own merits. And maybe it's a good time to maybe talk about the judging, just if I can for a second, Maria.
For sure, yes. We
Because
need to.
the judges do a lot of the hard work here. And every year we've had to have a new judging panel. We try to change the judges every year.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful to all of the judges over all of the previous 5 years of the awards, and to this year's judging panel. They're all available on the website at thinkglobalawards.com if people want to see this year's judging panel. But we have 20 judges this year, and we really couldn't do the awards program without the support of the judges, because there's an awful lot of entries to look for. And
Mhm.
whether it's education and learning, as we're talking about now, or whether it's community and the sort of non-profit category that we spoke about a moment ago, the judges are aligned to each of these various categories depending on their skill set, their background, their interests, etc. And it's a very rigorous judging process to make sure that we were able to announce a shortlist, and also, of course, to announce the winners in due course.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should just mention like the rest of categories in case someone wants to know. But also, as you say, they can check everything in the website, thinkglobalawards.com. So let me just mention the other ones. I will mention from the beginning. You already said community, nonprofit, education and e-learning, language industry person of the year. Very important for us. Life science, marketing, professional services, retail and e-commerce, startup, technology and entertainment, travel, transportation, and hospitality. That would be the last.
Yeah, I think, Maria, when you go through those categories, that what's great about the website, and you mentioned the web address there a moment ago, you can see all of the previous winners on the website.
Mhm.
So if you want to see, well, who won on the first year of the awards, who won in year 5 of the awards, you can actually go back and see all the winners and the brands and who won what category. And I think that might be useful for people who are considering entering the awards this year. Although I would encourage people to be quick with getting their entries in, because it
Oh,
does
yeah.
close. It closes next month. So by the time this episode goes out, people will really have to visit the website at thinkglobalawards.com and get their entry submitted. It is free to enter, as you mentioned. But I think, it's useful to go back and look at some of the brands and companies and individuals that won the awards, because it gives you a feeling to the type of organizations that have been winning. You can also review all of the categories that you've mentioned, and there's a little explainer as to what the judges are looking for each category, so you could maybe tailor your entry that way. And all the entries are done online. It's very simple. You create an account like you do for many awards programs. It's free to do, and you submit your entry online. It's very, very simple and a very straightforward process. And of course, I'd encourage people to do that, because it's really wonderful to see not just the winners, but the shortlist announced, because we announce the
Mhm.
shortlist normally a month or two ahead of the actual
Yeah.
online sort of ceremony to announce the
In
winners.
this case, the short list announced would be March 9th, and the ceremony would be April 19th. So
I'm looking forward to it already, but it closes next month. I mean, that's the important one, right? People
January
really have to get
31st.
their entries in. Yeah.
That's an important date. Everyone needs to remember that. January 31st, they need to send their entries before that. And we are super excited to see the continued growth for year 6 of the program. So yeah, you already know, if you or anyone you know are helping to make a difference in a positive way in our globally connected world, you are welcome to enter the awards. Just go into the website, thinkglobalawards.com, and enter. That's
Yeah, and people can enter themselves, Maria. That's an important point, I think, because people sometimes ask me that. Can I enter my own company? Can I enter myself? Yeah, of course you can, but you can also nominate others too. So if you want to nominate another company or another person for an award, you can do both. And there are no restrictions. I suppose another question that comes up quite common is, can I enter more than one category? And the answer is yes. There's no restrictions on the amount of times you can actually enter the awards. And obviously, we're not looking for people to enter the same award category over and over again, because obviously we can only go with the one submission. But if you want to maybe enter 2 or 3 of the categories, of course you can do that if they're relevant and if you can match the criteria. And again, visit the website to see the awards criteria for each of the categories. But you can enter yourself, you can nominate somebody else, you can enter a business, you can nominate another business, and yes, you can enter more than one category, should you so wish. But yeah, it's all available, and yeah, it's closing soon, so hopefully people will go to the website and submit an entry.
It was great having you, Simon. Thank you so much. I think we need to repeat this some other time. So thank you for everything. That's the end of today's show with Simon Hodgkins. Please make sure to tune in again to see or to listen to the next VistaTalks show, where we will be discussing more interesting topics with interesting people from all around the world. And please make sure to enter the Think Global Awards. Remember, thinkglobalawards.com.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Simon.